What if I told you that everything you believe about vitamin C is based on one of the most successful marketing campaigns in history? Picture this. You wake up in the morning, feeling the first scratchy symptoms of a cold coming on. What do you reach for? Most people would say orange juice. It is practically instinct at this point, programmed into us from childhood. But right now, sitting in the tropical woodlands of northern Australia, there is a small green fruit that contains up to 100 times more vitamin C than an orange. A single Kakadu plum, no bigger than a cherry, packs between 350 and 480 milligrams of vitamin C. Compare that to a medium orange, which contains just 70 milligrams. 100 grams of this remarkable fruit delivers over 3,000% of your daily vitamin C needs. The ascorbic acid levels per gram are more than 900 times higher than blueberries. Aboriginal Australians have used this fruit as their primary medicine for over 40,000 years. They treated illnesses, healed wounds, and maintained health with this single extraordinary plant. And yet, when we think of vitamin C, we think of oranges. The question is not how we forgot this fruit. The question is why we never listened to the people who knew about it all along. The Kakadu plum, scientifically known as Terminalia ferdinandiana, grows native to the tropical woodlands stretching from northwestern Australia to eastern Arnhem Land. Local communities call it by many names: Gubinji, billygoat plum, or simply green plum. For thousands of generations, Aboriginal communities harvested this fruit during the wet season, from January through March, using traditional techniques that collected fallen fruit to avoid impeding natural regeneration. This was sustainable harvesting, practiced long before that term ever entered our vocabulary. They did not just eat it, they used it as medicine. The fruit treated colds and headaches. The leaves provided additional remedies. The bark, particularly the red inner bark, was applied to skin conditions and sores. Children learned these practices from their elders, who learned from their elders before them. This was not folklore or superstition. This was accumulated knowledge, passed down through countless generations, refined through observation and experience. When Western scientists finally analyzed the Kakadu plum in the early 1980s, they recorded vitamin C concentrations of 2,300 to 3,150 milligrams per 100 grams of wet weight. Oranges contain approximately 50 milligrams per 100 grams. The Aboriginal communities had been right all along. Their traditional medicine was backed by science they never needed to prove. So how did the orange become the global symbol of vitamin C, while this nutritional powerhouse remained virtually unknown outside Australia? The answer begins in the early 1900s, in the sun-drenched groves of Southern California. The Southern California Fruit Growers Association, which would later become the company we know as Sunkist, faced a problem that threatened their entire industry. They were growing more oranges than Americans were eating. Warehouses were filling up. Prices were dropping. They needed to change consumer behavior, and they needed to do it fast. The solution came from an ingenious observation. Filling a single glass of orange juice required 2 to 3 oranges. That was 3 times the typical consumption. If they could convince Americans to drink their oranges instead of eating them, sales would multiply overnight. The Drink an Orange campaign launched with full force, accompanied by aggressive marketing of home juicers sold at cost or given away free. Advertisements appeared in newspapers, magazines, and storefronts across America. The result was staggering. Orange sales increased by approximately 400%. Americans had not suddenly developed a new nutritional need. They had been sold a new habit through brilliant, relentless marketing. But the real transformation came in 1918, when the world was reeling from the deadliest pandemic in modern history. The influenza epidemic had killed tens of millions of people worldwide. Entire communities were devastated. Hospitals overflowed. People watched their neighbors and family members die from a disease that medicine seemed powerless to stop. Americans were terrified, desperate for anything that might protect them from illness. Sunkist saw an opportunity that would change breakfast forever. Their marketing campaigns began claiming that orange juice could prevent or even cure pneumonia, influenza, and common colds. These claims had little scientific backing, but accuracy was not the point. For a traumatized population, these claims gave orange juice an almost mystical appeal. Mothers poured it for their children as a protective ritual. The connection between oranges and health was not established through rigorous scientific research. It was established through advertising that exploited fear and uncertainty. Orange juice became America's breakfast, not because it was the best source of vitamin C, but because a marketing department made it so. We built our nutritional beliefs on the foundation of a sales campaign, and those beliefs have persisted for over a century. While Americans were being taught to worship the orange, the Kakadu plum remained unknown to Western science. There are several reasons for this, and none of them are flattering to our scientific establishment. First, the fruit only grows in tropical northern Australia, a region far removed from the centers of Western scientific inquiry in Europe and North America. Second, and more importantly, Aboriginal knowledge was not transmitted to Western science until remarkably recently. The pioneering analysis of Australian bush foods that finally documented the phenomenal vitamin C content of the Kakadu plum did not occur until the early 1980s. Think about that for a moment. Human beings walked on the moon before Western scientists bothered to analyze what Aboriginal Australians had been eating and using as medicine for 40,000 years. For decades, colonial agricultural systems had prioritized familiar European crops, dismissing indigenous food sources as primitive or irrelevant. Scientists studied plants from their own gardens while ignoring the accumulated wisdom of the world's oldest continuous culture. The knowledge was always there, carried by people who had developed sophisticated relationships with their land over countless generations. The scientists simply were not listening. They did not think they had anything to learn. The Kakadu plum is not the only vitamin C powerhouse that our orange-centric worldview has obscured. Around the world, there are fruits and vegetables that dwarf the orange in vitamin C content. Fruits that indigenous communities have known about for centuries while we remained fixated on our morning glass of juice. Consider the acerola cherry from Barbados. This small red fruit contains between 1,000 and 4,500 milligrams of vitamin C per 100 grams, making it roughly 50 to 100 times more potent than an orange. Caribbean communities have used it for generations. Then there is camu camu, a berry native to the Amazon rainforest, with 1,800 to 2,280 milligrams per 100 grams, approximately 40 times the orange content. The indigenous peoples of Peru and Brazil knew its value long before any scientist measured it. Even rose hips, which grow across Europe and North America and were used by traditional healers for centuries, contain around 200 milligrams per 100 grams, far outweighing oranges, kiwi fruit, or strawberries. You do not even need exotic fruits to surpass the orange. A red bell pepper provides 190 milligrams of vitamin C per cup, almost triple the amount in a medium orange. A yellow bell pepper delivers 341 milligrams per serving. The vegetables in your refrigerator likely contain more vitamin C than the fruit we have been told to worship. The orange sits somewhere in the middle of the vitamin C rankings, elevated not by its nutritional superiority, but by its marketing budget. But the Kakadu plum offers something beyond even its extraordinary vitamin C content. Modern research has revealed that this fruit contains phenolic compounds with antioxidant, antimicrobial, antiparasitic, and anti-inflammatory properties. When gut microbiota break down these compounds, they develop even higher antioxidant properties and are better absorbed. The fruit also contains ellagic acid, which has demonstrated anti-cancer properties in laboratory studies, along with gallic acid and various flavonoids. It is high in potassium, vitamin E, and lutein. This is not a simple vitamin supplement. This is a complex nutritional package that Aboriginal communities understood intuitively through generations of use. Recent research from the University of Queensland has begun to validate what Aboriginal communities always knew. Scientists have confirmed the antioxidant and health benefits that traditional users described. As one researcher noted, Aboriginal communities have developed a huge body of knowledge about the medicinal properties of plants like the Kakadu plum. This knowledge, accumulated over tens of thousands of years, is only now being recognized by Western science. We spent decades dismissing indigenous wisdom while celebrating a marketing campaign. The irony is painful. There is a darker side to this story that demands attention. As the Western world has finally begun to recognize the value of the Kakadu plum, a troubling pattern has emerged. Indigenous representation across the entire bush food supply chain is less than 1%. The communities who protected and cultivated this knowledge for 40,000 years have been largely excluded from its commercial benefits. In 2007, the American cosmetic company Mary Kay Incorporated was granted a patent for Kakadu plum extracts without any benefit-sharing arrangement. This is not an isolated incident. It represents a broader pattern of exploitation, where traditional knowledge is extracted and commercialized, while the knowledge holders are left behind. The people who taught us about this fruit are watching others profit from it. What should we take away from this story? First, that marketing has shaped our nutritional beliefs far more than science ever has. The orange became the symbol of vitamin C, not because of its exceptional nutritional properties, but because of exceptional advertising. Second, that indigenous knowledge holds nutritional treasures that Western science is only beginning to discover. Aboriginal Australians knew about the Kakadu plum's benefits for over 40,000 years. We have known for about 40 years. Third, that our everyday assumptions about nutrition deserve scrutiny. Red bell peppers, kiwi, strawberries, and broccoli all beat oranges for vitamin C content, yet none of them benefited from a century-long marketing campaign. Finally, that supporting ethical sourcing matters. If you seek out bush food products, look for indigenous-owned suppliers. The knowledge came from these communities. The benefits should return to them. The small green fruit from Australia's tropics sits in the same forests where it has always grown, waiting in the shade of eucalyptus trees for the wet season rains. Aboriginal communities still harvest it during the wet season, using the same careful techniques their ancestors developed over hundreds of generations. They still use it for medicine, still understand its value in ways that laboratory analysis can only partially capture. Their knowledge is holistic, connecting the fruit to the land, to the seasons, to the broader web of life that sustains their communities. For over 40,000 years, they carried this knowledge, waiting for the rest of the world to listen. They did not need peer-reviewed studies to validate what they observed with their own eyes. They did not need marketing campaigns to convince them of the fruit's value. They simply knew, and they remembered, and they passed that memory forward through time. We did not forget the Kakadu plum. We simply refused to hear what indigenous peoples were telling us. We were too busy drinking our oranges, too convinced that our marketing-driven beliefs were actually scientific facts. We assumed that knowledge worth having would look like our knowledge, would come from people who looked like us, would be published in journals we recognized. The plant with 100 times more vitamin C than oranges was never lost. It was always there, in the hands of people we chose not to learn from. Perhaps the real question is not why we forgot this fruit, but whether we are finally ready to listen to those who never did. The choice is ours now. We can continue reaching for the orange juice every morning, or we can start questioning the stories we have been told. We can continue extracting indigenous knowledge without sharing its benefits, or we can build partnerships that honor the people who taught us. 40,000 years of wisdom is waiting for us. All we have to do is listen.